Hola, seguimos en Bogotá en el World Business Forum. Nos acompaña Mark Roberge. Él es un experto en estrategia de ventas en la era digital. Vamos a estar conversando con él unos minutos. Mark, bienvenido.
Thank you.
Mark, why is it important to have a sales process? And when is it the best time to develop a sales process?
Sure. The average success rate annually of a salesperson is 60%. That's a 40% failure rate. So there is so much that we can do from the perspective of hiring, from the perspective of playbook development and process development, from the perspective of coaching, that can make us better than twice the average. Get 80% of our sales teams to succeed. And the process is one of the most important aspects. Sales is not about just giving someone 4 hours of product training in a territory and having them go sell. We can look and study our best salespeople and codify that and use that information and that guidance to prepare our next folks. So a sales process needs to be developed from day one as the first salesperson and first sales leader. The chances that it's correct is next to 0%. And so we need to operationalize a way to test, iterate, and learn very quickly. And one of my favorite processes to do that is something that I've stolen from sports, like American football, called a film review, where when I work with early sales teams in their process development, we listen to a sales call every night from 5 to 6, a recording. We listen as a team. And we ask ourselves, for that buyer, was that process optimal? How should we change our process? And over the course of 2 or 3 months, your sales process evolves so much and becomes so optimized. And that's such an important asset for the next 10, 20, 100 sales hires that you make to enable them to be successful.
Okay. Mark, with the development of technology and the internet, buyers are more empowered nowadays because they have a lot of access to a lot of information that they can buy from virtually anywhere. How should the role of the sales people evolve to remain relevant, and how can they gain the trust of the customers, of the shoppers?
It's such an uphill battle because salespeople abused their power before the internet. Before the internet, buyers had to deal with salespeople. They had to go in the store. They had to go to the trade show to figure out what the product did and to buy it. And salespeople abused that power. And it left us with a function that has a bad reputation. I mean, do you like it when someone says, "Hi, I'm in sales"? Are you immediately, "Oh, let me tell you all my problems"? It should be that way, but it's not. And so we have an uphill battle to fight against, to make the brand of the sales profession better. And it needs to start with the genuine interest and the genuine priority of the customer's success is top of mind. I tell my students at Harvard how to sell ethically and I teach them techniques that would allow them to perhaps sell unethically if they abused the skills. But what you have to do is take the time to understand deeply the priorities of that customer and ask yourself, do you agree with those priorities? If you as a product help solve those priorities, then tailor the pitch and sell them. If you do not, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the buyer and say, if you were in their role at their company, would you have the same priorities? And if you do, if that buyer has the right priorities and your product doesn't help with them, walk away. Walk away. Do not sell them. Because that's just going to lead to a bad experience and a bad review and a bad reputation for you and your company. But if you don't agree with their strategy and you think they're wrong, you have to find a way to educate them, to have the right strategy that is likely aligned with your product. So that type of thinking, where we're putting the understanding of the buyer's interest first and then deciding whether to sell them, And if we are going to sell them, to tailor it to their needs, that's the type of selling that buyers want. And that's the type of selling that salespeople will succeed in today.
Mark, and finally, is there a way to balance growing sales and sustainability?
Sustainability being like environmental sustainability?
Exactly. And I mean, the sustainability of resources for companies, for the world.
Sure, okay. Yeah, the balance between sales and perhaps growth and sustainability is definitely possible. That is a question that is rooted deeply in context, depending on how much harm to the environment growth does for your companies. For example, some manufacturing companies, they could exceed a pace where the environmental impact would be much more negative. Oftentimes in the sector I work in software, there isn't a huge spillover societal harm from rapid pace. So it really does depend on your situation, but we've had some amazing movements like a decade ago in double and triple bottom line investing, where we don't just look at businesses from a pure financial profit, but we also look at it from the perspective of environmental help and harm. And we also have more modern movements like impact investing, which is trying to put our dollars that fuel growth, not just around financial growth, but around positive impacts to society. So as long as we keep that perspective at the executive levels and understand that this is just not all about dollars and cents, then I think we'll be okay.
Okay, Mark. Thank you very much, sir. It was a very informative interview. Ustedes, muchas gracias por acompañarnos, por seguir estas presentaciones. Seguimos pendientes del World Business Forum en Bogotá. Gracias.